When stress suddenly tightens your chest, speeds your thoughts, or leaves you feeling lightheaded, the instinct is often to take a huge breath. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it makes the sensation worse. The missing piece is not simply oxygen, it is the balance between oxygen and carbon dioxide and how your breathing communicates with the brain and the rest of the nervous system. Every breath affects carbon dioxide or CO2 in the blood. CO2 is a normal waste product made when cells use energy. The brainstem, a region at the base of the brain, constantly monitors this gas and helps adjust breathing to keep its level within a useful range. If breathing becomes faster or deeper than the body needs, CO2 can fall too low, even when oxygen is perfectly adequate. That drop can contribute to dizziness, tingling around the mouth or hands, chest tightness, and a feeling that you cannot get enough air. Those sensations can be frightening, especially during panic. The fear then encourages even more rapid breathing, creating a self reinforcing cycle. The problem is not imaginary, but neither does it automatically mean the body needs more and more air. Slow breathing changes that pattern by giving each breath more time and reducing unnecessary ventilation. The goal is not to force enormous breaths. It is to breathe gently enough that CO2 can remain more stable while the brain receives fewer signals of urgency. A comfortable rhythm may help the body interpret the moment as less threatening, although individual responses differ. This is why take a deep breath can be incomplete advice. A deep breath may mean a slow, easy breath, or it may mean pulling in a large volume of air repeatedly. If you are already overbreathing, bigger breaths can lower CO2 further and intensify uncomfortable sensations. Calm breathing is usually less about maximum volume and more about steady timing, relaxed muscles, and avoiding effort. The diaphragm, the broad muscle beneath the lungs, is central to this process. As it moves downward, the lungs expand. As it relaxes, air leaves. Allowing the diaphragm and lower ribs to move naturally can reduce the shoulder lifting and upper chest tension that often accompany stress. You do not need to push your abdomen outward or achieve a dramatic visual breath. Comfort matters more than performance. A simple practice is to sit with your back supported and notice your normal breathing for a few moments. Then let the inhale remain soft and unhurried, followed by a slightly longer, effortless exhale. You might breathe in for about 4 seconds and out for about 6, but the numbers are not a test. If that pace feels strained, shorten it. The useful rhythm is one you can sustain without air hunger. The longer exhale may influence the vagus nerve, a major communication pathway connecting the brain with organs including the heart and digestive system. The vagus nerve is involved in the parasympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system, which supports recovery after a threat. Breathing does not switch this system on like a button, but a calm rhythm can provide signals associated with reduced arousal. Researchers often examine heart rate variability, or HRV, when studying these effects. HRV describes the small changes in timing between heartbeats. A healthy heart does not beat like a metronome. Its timing shifts with breathing, activity, and emotional state. Paced breathing can temporarily increase this breathing related variation in some people. That finding suggests a measurable change in regulation, but it is not a personal score of health or a guarantee of stress relief. The practical meaning becomes clearer during an ordinary stressful day. Imagine reading an upsetting message, rushing between tasks, and noticing that your jaw and shoulders are tense. Rather than immediately trying to breathe as deeply as possible, pause and reduce the effort of each breath. Let the exhale finish naturally. For a few minutes, give your attention to smoothness instead of trying to erase the stress. This may also support recovery indirectly. Persistent stress can disturb sleep, increase muscle tension, alter appetite, and make it harder to concentrate. These changes can influence inflammatory processes, the body's systems for responding to injury and threat. Short term inflammation is protective, but prolonged stress and poor recovery may contribute to a less balanced pattern. Slow breathing is not an anti inflammatory cure, yet reducing arousal may support healthier recovery habits. Timing matters. Practicing only when panic is already intense can feel difficult because the nervous system is demanding speed and certainty. A brief period of comfortable breathing during a neutral moment can make the pattern more familiar. You could practice after waking, before sleep, or during a transition between work and home. Regularity may matter more than chasing a perfect breathing rate. There is also a safety principle. Never turn the exercise into a contest. Do not force long breath holds, huge inhalations, or extended exhales that leave you gasping. Stop if you feel faint, confused, unusually weak, or increasingly distressed. Breathing practices should feel manageable. People with lung, heart, or other medical conditions may need individualized guidance, particularly if a technique changes their symptoms. If panic begins, orienting to the surroundings can work alongside gentle breathing. Notice the support of the chair, the contact of your feet with the floor, and several ordinary details in the room. Then allow the breath to become quieter. This combination helps shift attention away from constantly checking whether the next breath feels perfect. The aim is not to prove that nothing is wrong, but to reduce the feedback loop while you assess what you need. Slow breathing also has limits. Studies of paced breathing show promising effects on short term measures such as perceived stress, anxiety, and heart rate patterns, but the best pace, duration, and long term benefit are not settled for everyone. Results can vary with health experience, expectations, and the situation. A change in HRV does not prove that inflammation has been reduced, and feeling calmer does not identify the cause of every symptom. A useful personal framework is to ask three questions. Am I breathing quickly because my body is exerting itself, or because I feel threatened? Am I making the breaths larger than necessary? And does slowing down feel easier after a minute or two, or does it create more discomfort? These questions can guide a gentle adjustment without turning breathing into another demand for control. Some symptoms should not be explained away as stress. New or severe chest pain, fainting, blue lips, serious trouble breathing, confusion, or symptoms that persist or worsen need prompt medical attention. Repeated episodes of unexplained dizziness, tingling, or breathlessness also deserve professional evaluation. A breathing exercise may be appropriate support, but it should not replace finding out what is happening. The broader benefit may come from pairing breathing with the habits that make the nervous system more resilient. Consistent sleep opportunities, regular movement suited to your abilities, breaks from prolonged tension, and supportive relationships all influence recovery. These are not dramatic interventions, and they do not work identically for everyone. Together, however, they can reduce the number of moments in which the body has to operate at full alert. Think of slow breathing as a doorway, not a cure all. It can create a small amount of space between a stress signal and an automatic reaction. In that space, you may notice the need to rest, change pace, seek support, or address a practical problem. The breathing pattern does not solve the problem by itself. It may help you meet the problem with a steadier body. The clearest takeaway is that breathing changes more than oxygen intake. It influences CO2 balance, the brainstem's monitoring of gases, the diaphragm's movement, the vagus nerve, and the timing of the heart. A gentle inhale and slightly longer, comfortable exhale may help during everyday stress, especially when practiced regularly. Keep it easy, pay attention to your response, and seek care when symptoms are unusual or concerning.